guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Hannah from the book Copy and Paste Painting. I'm gonna tackle this most difficult street scene today. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are going to draw the lines that you see here in the picture onto here. Now, if you look at your grayscale print, you will see that there's darker areas and lighter areas. So basically what you need to do now is just, I'm going to use a fine, thin, round tip brush, and I'm going to just go over the lines to get a drawing going here, so that I can differentiate between the different subjects or objects in this street scene. What I'm going to be doing this in a acrylic. I'm going to use a Galleria acrylic paints gray to just get all the sketching done, and then we're going to go carry on from there. We're going to use base colors. So I've got my water here, I've got my paint here, and I've got my thin round tip brush, and all I have on my palette is I have the Galleria paints gray, and then I'm going to be doing the outlines on the print. So this is a very intricate, lots of detail, lots of little areas that you're going to be working. But if you start with your drawing, then you will figure out what is going on. Also with drawing, because I did this and I did this for you, you need to get familiar with your subject. So it helps a lot when you do your lines here, that it's like studying your painting, studying your subject, so that you can see, you know, when you're working over there, you know, okay, that is that door there, that is that door over there. Okay, that said, we're going to start with the lines, and then I'm going to water down my paints gray a lot with water, like I explained before. If you dilute your acrylic with water, you get the same, like a watercolor type of paint, that it's see-through. You don't want to get confused, or you don't want to lose your grayscale print. So I'm gonna be doing that now. I've done my sort of coloring in and showing where the darkest dark areas are. It just makes it so much easier for when you start applying your base colors. Now, the reason why I worked in acrylic is because it dries quickly, and we should be able to work over this. It just gives you the dimension about this whole painting is about colors and darks and lights and shadows, and then that's what in any artwork that really makes for a good painting, is that you have the contrast between lights and darks. And this is a very colorful, very happy street scene, street cafe. So it's bright and bold and beautiful. So I don't want to do too much of that now. I've finished with that. I'm happy with that. I'm going to apply some base colors also in acrylic now. Just the one thing that I wanted to explain while I was doing that so fast is that when you get to the shrubbery, is to basically blot there can be a bit darker, so it just gives me an indication of where the foliage of this is going to be. I missed a few spots here and there, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah, so that will help you quite a bit to differentiate where different colors are going to come in. So what I want to do with the base colors, I'm going to do my palette preparation, and I'm going to use yellow, I'm going to use a pink, I'm going to use blues, greens, oranges. This in general, I think I'm just going to do a light glaze over this whole area here with a lighter color, and just so that we can now plot out the colors. That's really what you need to do. Okay, and as you continue doing this, you'll see that you will study your subject matter better and better, and when you get to an area, you will see where you are at. The whole idea with this base colors on this specific street scene is you have to thin down your paint. You just want to lightly, very watery without it being too runny. If you paint and you put your base color on and you see it starts running, just dab your brush onto your rag so that you don't have paint running down your canvas. So I'm going to do a bit of palette preparation and get my yellows. I'll use a cadmium yellow, I'll use orange, I'll use a viridian or a turquoise, I'll use definitely a French ultramarine. Take notes while I'm going through the colors. We just maybe a yellow ochre, and there's some purples. For these blues here, I'll do a French ultramarine. There's like a mixture of your red orange color. So, but there's lots of these yellows that just sort of pop. So I'm going to do my palette preparation, and then I'm just going to add like some of the base colors. Exciting stuff. So now I've done a bit of palette preparation. I just want to show you here. I've still got my leftover Payne's grey over there. I've got a brilliant red. I've got a cadmium yellow. I used, this is like a funny color that I have. It's a magenta. I've got a sap green and sort of a gold green and a viridian and your French ultramarine, and I've got a cobalt blue, and I've got a yellow ochre. So I don't add any white into this because I want those lines to still see through. If you add white to these paints, then you're going to cover your black lines, and that's not what we want. Very thin, and this is where your spray bottle comes in really handy to keep your paints moisturized or hydrated so that they don't dry out when you work. So I'm going to be mixing a few colors, and then I'm going to get started on the base colors. I don't have an orange here, just to point that out, but if you mix your yellow with a bit of the red, you should get an orange where you can work in oranges here. Okay, so I'm going to start doing base colors. So that gives you the basic idea of how to work with base colors in acrylic. There's still a lot of little detail things here that I didn't put in, but at least now I know what I'm dealing with and what is on this picture. Now you can actually start working with your oils and start applying paint. Yellow is always the color that I start with, because if your water's dirty, your brush is dirty, your yellow touches on anything. I always say yellow is like the swear word of color in painting, because whatever it touches, it just turns into some funny weird color. So I would start with just, your yellows. When you work in a yellow, add a little bit of white to it. It just makes it a little bit more opaque that you want, because yellow can be very translucent, and that it keeps on your shining through. But I find that if you add a little bit of titanium white to your yellow, you have a more solid color. But now from here on, that's now where your oil paint's going to come in, and the basic principles of just do your darks first, and then you can go into the other areas. Always also start with the background. It's probably the easiest thing to do here. I've just sort of gave it a wash in a ultramarine, but I know that's going to be really light in the end of the day. This is my advice to you, okay? But I've worked with so many students in the past, and some of them will actually go into zoom into a little area like that and finish painting that area. They will zoom into this or that. I prefer to work all over the place, but that works for me. Especially if you're sort of a beginner and you're not sure, you can go and sort of focus in on a little area and just do that little area if that makes you feel more comfortable. In the end of the day, everything comes together, and that is the step. If you look at this, it's like, oh no, no, it's not going to work. But it's layers and layers and layers, and now you build things up and build things up. So to see the stages of getting to that complete stage, I think it inspires you when you paint to know what, this is not the final product. Be patient and wait, look, copy, and paste. You have everything you have is over here that you need to look at. So that is my base colors for the street scene. Next step, we're gonna go to the oils, but that is the more intricate part where you really have to work in the details and things, and remember building. If it's not right now, you can wait for it to dry and then carry on the next day. Use your artist medium to make your paint medium to make your oil colors just settle a little bit quicker. Then it is quicker to work. Which is nice about this book is that you can actually now take this and move on, and you can carry on with your Frida or your boat or your Protea. So you can also work in stages with all of them, especially if you work quite fast like me. I would have 4 paintings that I work on all together, because I will get to a stage where it's wet and then I can't carry on. Now I have to wait for it to dry. But in that time, I just start with a new painting, and I always go back and finish my project. It is vitally important not to start and then give up halfway. You have to persist, practice, look, and you will see it is not so difficult. So that's for now. I'll see you in the next clip.